It's a beautiful night for baseball as we get you set for a rematch of the two teams that have represented the National League in the last two World Series. And these two franchises won the World Series. The first of four between the San Francisco Giants and the St. Louis Cardinals. Both these teams have been hot. A sweep of Colorado over the weekend for San Francisco. They put up 35 runs. And a sweep of Milwaukee here at Busch Stadium for St. Louis. And welcome to Cardinals baseball. That's Al Raboski, the Mad Hungarian. I'm Dan McLaughlin. Delighted to have you with us. The Cardinals, Al, have won 11 of 12 here at Busch Stadium. We've talked about it since opening day. If you get to postseason play, many times you look back at how you played at home. The Cardinals are taking care of business.
Well, it was a little strange early in the season why they were not winning at home. This has got to be the greatest atmosphere in the world to play. All the sea of red, all the Cardinal fans pulling for you, and now they're starting to capitalize on that. And it's going to be tough in this series, though.
Yeah, very much so, because the Cardinals face a great pitching staff. They will not face Tim Lincecum, who has had his issues this year, but outside of that, very good pitching.
They have three of the top 10 ERA leaders in the National League, so the Cardinals will have their work cut out. And then when you thought about Colorado, they scored 35 runs in Colorado. They normally win with pitching, and now they're scoring runs and getting the good pitching.
All right, should be a lot of fun and really a test for both these teams to see where they're at in the month of August and heading down the stretch. The Cardinals, the Giants, Westbrook and Kane. A look at those two when we come back on Fox Sports Midwest. The world champions had a sweep over the weekend. They've won 3 of their past 4. Big reason why. The starting pitching. Loesch last night, Wainwright, Kelly, and Lance Lynn. This evening, Jake Westbrook trying to pick up win number 11.
Jake, the ground ball specialist, who leads the National League with 2.62 ground balls to fly balls. He's 72% of the time he'll throw a ground ball out, and he's induced a lot of double plays, 18 on the year.
He was the starter for the National League team in the All-Star game. Matt Cain, the big right-hander, hard thrower going for San Francisco. We have more coming up. All smiles right now at Busch. 27-year-old Matt Cain, the big right-hander, getting the start for the Giants. He's been a part of their World Series team 2 years ago, the All-Star game just a couple of months ago, and the perfect game. He did that back in early June. Matt Cain has accomplished an awful lot, Al, but he has struggled, though, since that perfect game.
2-2 ERA at 4 since the perfect game. He's also allowed 8 home runs in his last 6 starts. Still has great stuff. He beat the Cardinals earlier this year in San Francisco. Lifetime, he's 2-2 with a 4.50 ERA against the Redbirds.
The nasty streak as well of Matt Cain, a pair of right-handers tonight, the Giants and the Cardinals. 2 World Series winners the last 2 seasons. 4-game series begins tonight. When you come to the ballpark, you better be ready for flying bats, balls, even players winding up in the stands. It's called Up for Grabs. Here's our latest edition.
The President's Race, and it's Olympic swimming time. First, butterfly.
Let's go, Pete. I got it. I got this one. I got it. Oh, my Lord.
He goes down, the pad goes down.
Don't worry, he'll forget about that.
I think it comes the breaststroke.
The breaststroke is next.
I think he made a poor decision in spilling his beer, but he did make a heck of a throw.
Making friends already.
And you know freestyle's coming when they hit the
coming up.
Happy camper right there.
Gold Glovers here in the ballpark tonight.
What are you doing out there?
Wait a minute. That is the worst shark costume ever.
Cardinals baseball is brought to you by Budweiser. Great times are waiting. Grab some buds. By your Mid-America Chevy dealers, the #1 selling brand in St. Louis. Find us at stlchevy.com. By Dobbs Tire and Auto Centers, #1 for quality tires and expert auto service. And by Steak and Shake, just no equal. Cardinals looking to continue their winning ways here at Busch Stadium, where the Redbirds have won 11 of their past 12 here at Busch. Angel Pagan, the former Met, leads it off, and then a former Cardinal and a world champion, Ryan Theriot. Melky Cabrera, he's in the conversation for the MVP of the National League. Buster Posey, Hunter Pence, Marco Scutaro, Brandon Belt, Brandon Crawford, and the pitcher Matt Cain, who's hitting 167. The Cardinals have our Enterprise Bank and Trust starter. It's right-hander Jake Westbrook.
Jake 6-3 this year at Busch Stadium. He's won his last 3 starts, and he leads the National League with his 2.6 ground ball to fly ball ratio, and 72, almost 72 and a half times he'll get a ground ball when the ball is put in play.
And that's what you expect from Jake Westbrook, ground ball after ground ball, when he is right, and has a very good sinker. And the first pitch to Pagan is a strike, and we're underway. The Giants completed a 3-game sweep of the Rockies yesterday in Denver. They have won 4 of their past 6. This is hit a ton out to deep right field, and it's 1-0 Giants. That's how we start the 4-game series, as Pagan goes deep with number 7, and that is RBI number 40 for Angel Pagan.
Well, not the way the Cardinals expected this, but worried a little bit when you talk about their 3-game sweep in Colorado. The Giants scored 35 runs, so they're swinging the bats well, and Angel Pagan has always hit the Cardinals very well. Gets off to a good start.
On the road, the Giants have played very good baseball, as Ryan Theriot is greeted with a nice round of applause in his return to St. Louis. Giants have won 8 of 12 away from AT&T Park, and they're averaging over 5 runs a game on the road. So Bruce Bochy has to like that to go along with his very good pitching staff. And it's 0-2 on Theriot, who's batting .268.
Theriot's been getting a lot of playing time for Bruce Bochy of late.
Theriot is the primary shortstop last year for the Cardinals until the trade for Rafael Furcal. Waves at it, and a strikeout. The first out recorded by Westbrook. Defensively, the Cardinals line up like this. Holiday, Jay, and Beltran in the outfield. Left side of the infield is Freese and Furcal. Descalso, Craig on the right side. Yadier Molina's behind the plate. What a series he had over the weekend. Westbrook on the mound. Around the Horn is presented by Dobbs. What a year Melky Cabrera has put together here in San Francisco. .352, 11 home runs. An all-star. He's driven in 56.
He was the MVP of the All-Star game this season, and he leads the majors with 149 hits and 49 multi-hit games.
Also leads in the all-important category of runs scored.
Remember, he was a Kansas City Royal a year ago. They traded Sanchez, and the Royals have released Jonathan Sanchez since then.
That's a bouncer under the glove of Furcal. Traded Sanchez for Guthrie, and Sanchez now pitching back in the National League West Division. But Melky Cabrera admitted he's back in shape, and obviously that has helped out with what he's done at the plate. The effort here by Furcal.
Just underneath the glove, beyond his reach. Good effort.
Good double play combination up the middle for St. Louis. Furcal back in the lineup. Descalso at second base. And here is Buster Posey. You may have the 2 best catchers in all the baseball on display tonight. Buster Posey and Yadier Molina, both defensively, and certainly both have put together great offensive years.
Posey's got a current 9-game hitting streak, hitting .444 during that time.
Since the All-Star break, he has driven in 26. That's most in the major leagues.
No difference in the throwing ability between the two. Yachty the best in baseball, and Posey has allowed 58 stolen bases, second most in the major leagues.
Last year his season cut short, collision at the plate, tore ligaments and a broken ankle, done for the year. There was talk when we were in San Francisco putting Posey at first base to give him some time away from home plate, the crouch and the grind of being a catcher. And he is a great athlete. He's the former college baseball player of the year at Florida State. And at one point he was the starting shortstop for the Seminoles, and then they moved him behind the plate because he's so athletic.
And he's been on a tear since the All-Star break, leading the majors with a .456 average.
The 2-1 is a double play ball. Out at second and out at first. It's a double play. Home run by Pagan. 1-0 San Francisco. Very good lineup for Mike Matheny's club, and it's presented by Southwest Airlines. As a team, the Cardinals hitting .277. Descalso, Craig, and Holiday. Then Beltran, Freese, Molina, Jay, Fractal, and Westbrook. Tough test tonight for this lineup as they'll get right-hander Matt Cain, and his numbers presented by Enterprise Bank and Trust.
Winning pitcher for the National League in the All-Star game, 10-4, ERA under 3. Since throwing the 22nd perfect game in Major League history, he is just 2-2 with an ERA over 4. He's had some good games against the Cardinals, and he had his worst game against the Cardinals. Already 1-0 this year against the Redbirds.
Bottom of the first, and there's a 1-0 lead for San Francisco. Pagan with the home run, and interesting move here for Mike Matheny. He's got Descalso in the leadoff spot, dropping down for Kyle, who has been dealing with health issues, struggling a bit at the plate. Over the weekend, Daniel very good against Milwaukee.
Swinging the bat much better. Also, Mike Matheny knowing that right-handers are batting .184 against Cain, lefties .257.
Fights it off, and to Crawford is the first out. The Giants have to improve defensively. They lead the National League in errors. Cabrera, Pagan, and Pence is in right. Scudero, Crawford, Terrio, and Belt along the infield. Posey, Al, you talked about his struggles throwing out base runners. He's behind the plate. That's brought to you by Dobbs, and an old friend in right field. That's Hunter Pence.
Hasn't hit much since coming over, but he does like hitting against Cardinal pitching.
Here is Alan Craig. .56 driven in 67 games this year for Craig. Matt Cain in his last start against New York, which was a loss, 97 pitches in 5 innings. Then he was lifted. He had 71 in the first 3. Balls behind here, 2 balls and no strikes. There's a line shot into right. Pence is over and makes the catch. Talked about it so much. Hunter Pence, not graceful, but he does get the job done.
Yeah, he looked a bit awkward going after this line drive, but he gets over there in time.
Fooled on that pitch, strike 1. 31 consecutive starts. Holiday has reached base.
That's hit 3 home runs against Cain, but an average under 190.
In the air out to right. Hunter Pence makes the catch, and the Cardinals go in order. 1-0 after an inning of play from Busch Stadium. Friday, August 17th. Cardinals, Coke Zero, and Walmart proud to sponsor the official 2012 team banner. 25,000 fans entering the ballpark to be able to display their Cardinal spirit. It's a 2 foot by 6 foot hanging banner featuring all the players on the team. Strike at the knees to Hunter Pence underway here in the second inning.
Hunter batting just 191 since being traded to the Giants.
Was 2 for 5 yesterday, drove in 3. Part of their sweep over Colorado. Here's a 1-1 pitch.
Does have 22 go-ahead RBIs, tied for second most in the National League behind Beltran's 23.
Easy play here for Freeze. One away. Saw him about a month ago. Marco Scutaro was traded from Colorado to the Giants, and I mentioned before how their defense has been poor this season, but it has gotten a little better. Addition of Scutaro. They have Brandon Belt, who's outstanding over at first defensively. He's on deck. Hunter Pence will help out.
Since June 9th, San Francisco committed only 25 errors. That's the third fewest, but they still lead the National League with 81 errors.
One ball, one strike. Marvin Hudson is calling balls and strikes tonight. Jordan Baker at first. Tim McClellan, the crew chief, at second. That's strike 2. Brian Runge down at third. Tim McClellan, he's been around a long time. Umpire for the famous George Brett Pine Tar game. Scutaro hits it down the right field line, slicing foul and out of play. Also the Sammy Sosa corked bat, you may remember, at Wrigley Field. He has seen some things in his time in baseball. Here's Descalso. 2 away.
A little better now for Jake, getting those ground balls that we're so accustomed to seeing.
Here's Brandon Belt, first baseman for San Francisco, takes ball 1. I'm sure Jake can appreciate the defense that he saw over the weekend, in particular from Daniel Descalso. He's played short and second. Belt, a liner into right center field. Beltran, the former Giant, makes the play. He'll fire into second base. Goodbye. He's done it again. He did that over the weekend against Milwaukee with Aoki trying to stretch a single into a double, and does so here with Brandon Belt. A throw right on the money at second base for Kyle. Just had to wait. No chance for Belt. Easy play for Rafi. Carlos Beltran drills one out to deep right. Doing a little bit of everything tonight. Wow! Way out of here. We're tied up 1-1. Beltran with home run number 26.
Good way to extend your hitting streak to 8 games. He was batting .400 against Kane. Didn't have a home run until that swing, and that was a no-doubter. Defensively, you saw him get the gun and runner out right there. Then he turns around, gets a breaking ball down and in, just rifles it to the second deck. That turned things around pretty quick, didn't it?
Home run number 26, RBI number 78.
Leads in National League in RBIs, now 2 more than Holiday.
And remember that Carlos finished up last season with San Francisco and played very well. They actually wanted to re-sign him and approached his agent Dan Lozano about doing so, but he winds up here in St. Louis. We're all thankful that that happened because he has had a monster year.
They all felt he would be very productive as long as he was healthy, and he's played within himself to stay healthy, and he has really produced.
A 2-1 pitch to David Freese, taken low and away. And Freese is coming off a monster month of July. It's good to see that David has stayed healthy this year. He's put up big numbers. And I don't know about you, Al, but I think he has surpassed most of what many thought he could do defensively. You see what he's done the last 10 games, but defensively he's been just fine, if not better than that.
No doubt. And even last year when he was taken out, it wasn't so much, late innings for defense. It was just more to get him off those surgically repaired ankles. But the days of Descalzo going into play are no longer.
Molina steps in as we take a look at our keys to the game. 1-1 here in the bottom of the second. It is a small sample size, but our Toyota keys will show you that Matt Cain has not had great success against St. Louis.
He had one really bad game a few years ago against St. Louis. So I said he is 2-2 lifetime with that 4.54 ERA, and he's 1-0 this season.
One-0 pitch to Yadier Molina. 1 ball, 1 strike. John Jay is on deck. Just joined us. A pair of home runs in this ball game. A solo shot by Angel Pagan, first hitter that Jake Westbrook saw. And moments ago, Carlos Beltran connecting on his 26th of the year. Nine hits the last 4 games for Yadier Molina. The 2-1 pitch. 2-2. Giants have locked up their pitching staff with Matt Cain signing a long-term extension earlier this year. Lincecum is in the fold for the next 2 years. Breaking ball and a called third strike on Molina. And Yadi having words with the home plate umpire. He thought that was a bit inside. The good and bad of Matt Cain. This is the perfect game back on June 13th against Houston.
Struck out 14 in that ball game. And then here's the worst. April 18, 2008. It was 3 2/3. He gives up a couple long balls in that. Allowed a 2-run home run to Chris Duncan and a 3-run shot to Albert Pujols. So 9 earned runs was the most he's ever allowed, and he did it in just 3 2/3 innings of work.
Chris Duncan now working with us on Fox Sports Midwest. So doing radio locally here in town. One-0 pitch. Jay rips it into right field. Freese on his way to third base. A pitch that was up, it looked like, and Jay was able to turn on it. And runners at the corners, 1 down for Rafael Furcal.
Want this ball down. It's up over the middle of the plate. Still got to center it, and he does so, lining it to right field. First and third now, with just one out. Ralphie's got to pick up another key RBI. For his last 14. He's had some success against Matt Cain.
These two saw each other an awful lot over the National League West. Kyle, a member of the Dodgers, as Jay is back in. Runners at first and third, one down, and a 1-1 game here in the bottom of the second. Kyle's been dealing with a sore back and in and out of the lineup the last 2 weeks. Outfield is straight away, not very deep. Matchups for this series. Good one tomorrow night. Lance Lynn, Barry Zito. Zito in many ways has reinvented himself. Doesn't throw nearly as hard as he used to, and Lance Lynn is 13-4. Joe Kelly, Ryan Vogelsong on Wednesday.
Vogelsong leads the National League in ERA.
As you talked about in the open, 3 Giants in the top 10 of the ERA of the National League. Then Thursday afternoon, it's day baseball. Will come your way at noon. Wainwright and Bumgarner. The Giants can flat out pitch. Two balls and 1 strike. Westbrook is on deck as Furcal was showing bunt. I wonder if that was more of just showing bunt and not actually thinking of putting that down with the pitcher on deck.
You kind of wonder if he's kind of where his psyche is right now as a hitter, is over his last 14 and really kind of groping for answers.
Here's a 2-1. How many times you think, Al, that a hitter sets up a pitcher? We always talk about a pitcher wasting a pitch to set up a hitter, but what about vice versa?
Well, it does happen, and it's usually your more experienced and hitters that will do that. But when you're over 14, I don't think that's in your thought process.
And I just brought that up for Kyle, showing bunt, third baseman, step or 2 in.
I believe in that, and a lot of times it'll draw the infield, open up some hitting lanes, try and help you out a little bit.
But you're right, it's a struggle right now, and he has not looked comfortable at the plate the way that he started this regular season. The 2-2 pitch.
Just fouled it off, got a little piece, but good pitch for the sac fly there. Call, as you said, been nursing the back. Remember, he missed 5 straight games. Did come back off yesterday, but also he's had a shin issue that's just been nagging at him, and his batting average has just dropped, but he'll get it back.
The 2-2 pitch. Spoiled by Furcal. Both these teams with identical marks. The start of play tonight at 59 and 49. The difference is San Francisco, they are in first place in the West. The Cardinals are 7 games out in the Central.
Half-game lead over the Dodgers.
So really a big series for both these teams. The race of their division and the wild card.
Call does have 42 RBIs. That's second most by a National League leadoff man. He's batting 8th today, but I think all 42 of those have come as a leadoff man.
With the win yesterday, the Cardinals improved to 11 games above 500 at home. And against the West this year, they're 8 games above 500. Redbirds have struggled against the East. They were just a game above 500 in interleague play. 2 balls and 2 strikes. And let's see how aggressive now Mike Matheny wants to be with a runner at first base.
In my mind, you said, McCall makes contact, slaps down on the ball, avoid the double play.
Jay is running and the pitch is fouled back. It's one thing that Mike Matheny talked about in spring training, and I'm not so sure they've gotten away from it, but he did want to be more aggressive and run with this team.
I think as it's evolved, though, they are limited with speed, and you just can't, for the sake of running, and run into outs.
The 3-2 pitch. Jay is running again, and that's a base hit. Vercal has given the Cardinals a lead. Jay on his way to third. The throw is cut off, and Rafael Vercal, boy, did he need that. Picks up RBI number 43 on his season. 2-1 St. Louis.
Ralphie's been around a long time. Dave Righetti will come out and pay a visit to Matt Cain, but he's very confident in his ability. Got a little slider and cutter. It's up in the zone. Hit it back up the middle. If you're struggling a little bit, go back to simplistics. So on the 3-2 pitch, they do send the runner. He trades places with Freeze. Cardinals do have the 2-1 lead now, and Vercal is so important to this offense. Whether he's leading off or in the double leadoff spot, in the 8th spot in the order, he still can do a lot of things to help you out.
From the Giants' perspective, I'm sure they're a little concerned right now with what they've seen from Matt Cain coming off a poor start. Now trailing 2-1 in this inning. He's given up 3 hits and a walk. Westbrook is squaring to bunt. Jose Oquendo flashing the signs, and there's good speed on the bases with Vercal at first. John Jay down at third.
A long at bat for Vercal. Kept on fouling off a bunch of pitches. Now Michael Andretti is saying hit down, chop down on the ball. Even to get a line drive, you still have to almost hit down on that ball.
And not do that. It's popped up, and Posey has it. Runners back to the bags at first and third. And there's 2 outs, back to the top of the lineup. Friday night, join the Fox Sports Midwest girls to watch the Cardinals and Phillies game from the Ultimate Guys Weekend at Chaffetz Arena. Check out ultimateguysweekend.net for more information. Descalso popped out to short, first time up. Essentially, the Cardinals have Mike Eldreddy, Mark McGwire, John Mabry, all serving as hitting coaches with this team. There's a fastball and a strike at 92.
And they're all doing a good job as the Cardinals lead in so many offensive categories.
Just a 115 average with runners in scoring position this year for Daniel. But he has shown his value with the leather.
Remember last season, Daniel Descalso was so good in late in ball games. This year he got off to a very slow start, but did hit 368 in August. And we're still in August, so hope that'll continue. And he's 316 career hitter against San Francisco.
And that glove is what keeps him consistently in the lineup.
It didn't hurt that the last 3 games he was 6 for 10.
That helps too. This will be pitch number 30 of the inning coming up. The 1-2, 2-2.
A lot of pitches up Hasn't found his rhythm yet. Bruce Bochy and Dave Righetti are saying, okay, get through this inning, kind of regroup, find your release point, and then he's capable of running off a whole bunch of zeros.
And he strikes out Descalso. 2 in the inning, 2 in the game. 2 runs this inning for St. Louis and their first lead of the night. Cardinals baseball on Fox Sports Midwest is brought to you by the new wireless receiver from AT&T Uverse. Visit att.com/freeyourtv. Rethink possible. MyKiaSt.Louis.com. And get the All-American Jack Combo at Jack in the Box. It's a no-nonsense burger with fries and a drink for only $4.99 plus tax at participating stores. Al Raboski, Dan McLaughlin with you. Jim Hayes has joined us here for the 3rd inning. This is shortstop Brandon Crawford, who's batting .232. 1 ball, 1 strike. And Jim, certainly the Cardinals have been extremely pleased with the year of Kyle Lohse, and again, scoreless innings last night, 12-2 on the season. He won 15, you might remember, back in 2008, his first season with the Cardinals, so he's closing in on that. And Kyle Lohse has put together arguably his best season in town.
Didn't get a lot of run support early on in the season either, so could well have 15 or 16 wins this season. But talking about the season he is putting together, I asked him if he was surprised by all the attention he was getting.
Here's Westbrook. Nice play. 1 away.
And he said a little bit surprising to him because he's had good seasons before. You mentioned the 15-win season. He says the thing that irks him is when people say he's very good in a contract year. And he said if you look at his record when he's healthy, he pitches well, and right now he's healthy. I asked him about that contract because he's in the last year of his contract, and he says he would love to stay in St. Louis, but he can't worry about that now. He's got to focus on the job at hand and let the thing play out.
I think that's very fair to say he has been one of the better pitchers when he's healthy. And people may have forgotten last year he led the team in wins and ERA. This year, I consider him to be one of the top pitchers in the National League.
Just think about where the Cardinals would be with that rotation. You don't have Chris Carpenter, and in the early part of the season, you had Adam Wainwright feeling his way after the Tommy John. How consistent has Lohse been?
Strikeout, that's number 2 for Westbrook. Look there at Wainwright and Jaime Garcia. They're on the left portion of your screen. Follow the Cardinals with the MLB.com at Bat 12 app for your iPhone, iPad, Android, BlackBerry, and Windows Mobile. Text at BAT to 31826. MLB.tv. Top of the lineup, and Pagan, who is homered for the Giants. That started the game. The Cardinals came back with a home run by Beltran. A solo home run, his 26th. And then for Cal, breaking a long 0-for streak with a base hit and RBI. 1 ball, 1 strike. And going back, Jim, to your point, to his credit as well, you know, Kyle Lohse did not say when he was hurt. You know, he pitched through the pain. He pitched having no feeling essentially in his fingertips. And Al, you can speak to that. I mean, as Beltran shows off the arm, if you can't feel the baseball, it's tough to pitch at any level.
Yeah, you can't execute good pitches. You're just trying to throw the ball in the middle of the plate. And as you said, you know, I mean, I was very critical of his body language, but then we found out he really legitimately was hurt during that time, and I was happy to go to him and say, hey, I was wrong.
Had to have the surgical procedure almost unheard of for a Major League Baseball player, where they basically take some of the surroundings of the musculature in his forearm out.
There's Ryan Theriot to check on Pagan, who is a threat to steal. The Riot is back in town. One of your favorites, Mr. Hayes.
He was a very colorful guy around the clubhouse. Good to have around.
The Cardinals let some of the personality go. They brought back Berkman, but Theriot and Punto, Laird, guys like that really had a meaningful role with the team last year, and some of it was comic relief, just keep things loose in that clubhouse. And such a long season.
I'll tell you, the guy on the mound, folks might not know that, but Jake Westbrook is one of the guys that really does provide a lot of comic relief in the clubhouse.
Just wish we'd get Wainwright to be serious with Westbrook.
Those two together.
Do you have the story behind all the different dances and the moves before games with Wainwright?
Dan, I got to look into that.
You do.
That's an assignment.
It is. Terrio, little fly ball out to shallow left, going out the shortstop for Cowell to make the catch, and a souvenir for the fans as he fires it into the seats left side. 2-1. Redbirds on top. Fox Sports is proud to support Boys and Girls Club of America, a place where youth can reach their full potential. Find out more at greatfutures.org/Fox Sports. Al Raboski, Dan McLaughlin with you. Jim Hayes in the booth. And the Cardinals have a 2-1 lead. 2, 3, and 4 in the lineup due up for St. Louis. Craig, Holiday, Beltran. Alan Craig lined out to right first time up. We wondered what the Cardinals might do at the trade deadline, and most indications pointed to the bullpen and really trying to find a guy to bridge the gap to get you to Boggs and then get you to Jason Mott. Mott was your guest on the pregame show, and John Mozeliak has been impressed not only with his fastball, but also the cutter has been something that's really improved over the course of the last couple of seasons.
Yeah, and he's utilizing it more. In 2010, he threw the cutter 11.9% of the time, and 11, 18.9, and this year 23.6%. And I asked him if that's just a sign that he's more confident, and he said Yachty is, because Yachty calls it. He throws exactly what Yachty wants him to throw. However, he does feel like he has better command of it. Certainly Mott's pitched very well in a secondary pitch to get guys off the scent of that 95, 97 mile an hour fastball helps.
And Al, not that a pitcher wouldn't respect his catcher, but if anybody has respect for the position, certainly Jason Mott. So you trust in Yadier Molina. He's been around a long time now and one of the best in the game. As Craig gets a high fly ball for out number 1 into center field. Angel Pagan is there, 1 out.
Yeah, it's one of those situations too where you don't ever want to look back and say you got beat with your second best pitch. But there are going to be times when a really hard thrower doesn't have as good fastball, may not have little movement, may not have the explosive velocity. So you've got to come up with something, and that now that cutter has become an effective pitch for him, and hitters can go up there looking for a fastball and could be fooled by it, and he gets some easy outs.
Strike on the inside corner to Holiday. He didn't like that call. Matt fly to right first time up. Cardinals have been on a great run. Certainly here at home, it's coincided with the numbers of Holiday in the conversation along with Beltran for team and league MVP. And Mike Matheny, obviously anybody around the team loves to see the run the club is on, but also the fact is you worry about what this team has to do and not so much scoreboard watching at this point with Cincinnati and Pittsburgh.
Well, it can be deflating. The Cards have won 12 of their last 16, still 7 back of Cincinnati because the Reds went out and won 15 of their 17. But Mike Matheny says 2 things are going on with this ball club in his opinion. 1, the urgency has kicked in, and number 2, a lot of these guys were around last year where they came from 10.5 back, so there wasn't any panic.
A slider and a strikeout for Kane, and that is his 3rd of the night.
Kane has such great stuff, and look at that slider. You get a high average hitter to expand his zone and get himself out. Players are realistic too, Jim, but they did come from 10.5 games back, but it took a historic collapse by Atlanta to allow them to win the wild card, and they know they can't be worrying about that. And now with the format of the 2 wild cards matching up, you know, you might have to use your best pitcher. You might have to use your best 2 pitchers the last 2 regular season games, and then you have that matchup. You know, it's going to be a lot tougher for a wild card winner to go out and run the gamut now.
I think what Mike was saying, though, is that having been through it, there's a little bit more relaxed knowing it's kind of the same territory. Obviously, they don't want to drop the 10.5 back.
And they also, you know, you don't even think about the wild card right now. You think about the division championship. That's still within grasp.
Still plenty of time.
Absolutely.
And they'll face Cincinnati 6 more times, I believe, before the season is through.
So those meetings are going to be very tough, meaningful.
2-2. I'm with you, Al. I think when you look at the wild card, if you win, if you don't win the division, you should be, I don't want to necessarily use the word punished, but they should be rewarded, meaning the division winners, for getting in and having a chance to line up their rotation. There's got to be a reward for being the team that gets in and having won your division and maybe getting a day or 2 off to regroup, line up the rotation, and then put your best foot forward, so to speak.
Yeah, so I feel that with the second wild card, it will accomplish that the division winners will be that much more important.
Well, Jim, great stuff as always. We'll see you on the postgame. 4 strikeouts for Kane, and it's 2-1. A 2-1 lead in favor of Jake Westbrook and the St. Louis Cardinals as we move to the 4th. After a leadoff home run that Westbrook allowed back in the 1st, he settled in, and here's Melky Cabrera. Just looking at the potential of MVP candidates in the National League, it's hard not to look at the NL Central Division. We saw Braun over the weekend. We mentioned Holiday and Beltran, Andrew McCutchen, Joey Votto, but from the West, injuries to Matt Kemp and Ethier knocked them out, but this guy has been consistent from day number 1. He'd be in that conversation. That's Melky Cabrera.
Much of the year he was leading the National League in hitting. Now he's second with his .352 average, and he's added to that with his base hit .254 now.
I can't see anybody, Al, from the Eastern Division of the National League that would stand out for me.
No, and as good a season as Melky's having, and he picks up another hit, I still look at the Central Division be the favorites.
We've got a couple of great left fielders on display the next 3 nights, and then the afternoon Thursday. Melky Cabrera and Matt Holiday comparing their numbers. The average in favor of Cabrera, but the power numbers much better for Matt Holiday.
Well, and that gives you an indication right there. In my mind, even though Cabrera has a great average, you're looking about driving in runs. The home runs and RBIs are so much better, and so my nod would go to Holiday over Cabrera.
Here's Buster Posey. They got him to bounce into a double play. 6-4-3. First time up, and he's 0 for 1. Jack Hercules is with us here at the ballpark. Jack was supposed to be here on opening day. Young Cardinal fan, but was injured, couldn't make it, but he's here tonight. We're glad he's with us. As Westbrook has a check on the runner at first, and that's Melky Cabrera, the leader in stolen bases for the San Francisco Giants, is Pagan. Posey lines it into right field. That's a base hit. And the first 2 have reached the Giants' top of the 4th.
These 2 have really done a lot of damage of late. Cabrera and Posey. They are swinging the bat so well. And there, just that ball sitting right in the middle of the plate. Hits it. And Posey, who's now 1 for 2. And 460 or so, 7 doubles, 6 home runs, and 26 RBIs in 20 games since the All-Star break.
Hunter Pence, and a foul tip for strike 1.
Just hasn't hit much with his new ball club, but we know he is capable adding another potential big bat to their lineup. Two-time All-Star was acquired by the Giants Tuesday from the Phillies, exchanged for Sherholtz and a couple minor leaguers.
One of them a very good right-handed pitcher by the name of Seth Rosen. 1 ball and 1 strike. Well, with the Phillies, Pence did have 17 homers and he drove in 59. Last year, the Phillies went on to a franchise record 102 wins. They thought that Pence might be that final piece that would get them over the hump offensively. Didn't work out. Chris Carpenter and gang made sure that happened.
Are you surprised they traded him, Pence?
I'm surprised Houston dealt him and Michael Bourne.
Well, that's
still
true
have
too.
to have centerpiece guys and a reason to come out to the ballpark. Right now, if you're a Houston Astros fan, the only guy you might know is Altuve. 2 balls and 1 strike here on Hunter Pence. And Al, we talked about it. You can rebuild, and I understand that, but you still have to give fans a reason to believe to an extent, a reason to come to the ballpark and watch a player or two. And fans will understand if you come out, for the most part, say, hey, it's rebuilding and we're trying to get better. But they have gutted that entire major league roster.
And I think it's extremely difficult to make trades and project and say, okay, I want this guy and major league talent in 3 years. You know, how many times have we heard about a phenom in A-ball and you never hear about him once he gets to Double-A?
Pence, a ground ball that's foul. You talked about it as well, that Pence is an all-star, so obviously a very good player. He was well liked, one of the fan favorites in Houston. He hustles, he plays hard.
Two-time All-Star. Recently, this has been a troublesome spot for him. He's just 4 for his last 20 with runners in scoring position.
Here's a 3-2, runners go, and it's a foul ball by Pence. We'll do it again.
I used to think that you could throw a lot of breaking balls to get him to chase, but on 3-2, you've got to make a little better pitch, got to tempt him in the zone. If he just said go with his bread and butter to the sinker, just try and get it.
And it's popped up. Runners will have to retreat back to first and second. Hunter Pence is 0 for 2. Brings in Marco Scutaro. Scutaro coming off a very good year with the Red Sox a season ago, then traded to the Rockies. And right now, as you saw last week in Colorado, that is a disaster this season.
Now you think about the Cubs, think about Colorado, Houston. A lot of clubs trying to go back to square one, rebuild their ball clubs.
There's a strike to Scutaro. The Brewers over the weekend, we mentioned how this time last year they were rolling, and that's not the case here in 2012.
Scutaro, last 10 games he's played at third base, and he hadn't played there since 2008.
Right. 1 ball and 1 strike. Todd Helton announced today that he will have surgery and his season will be done.
The labrum in the hip. He'd gotten a cortisone shot before we came into town. Said it was much better, but
Here's a ground ball that's off the glove of Westbrook. It would have been. You would have to assume a double play. Runners advance to second and third. Creve Coeur Photo Day is coming up. It's always one of the most popular afternoons here at the ballpark. That's August 18th, a Saturday against Pittsburgh. Head to Cardinals.com to get your tickets.
I don't think there's any doubt that Westbrook could have turned that into an inning-ending double play. Ball came right back at him, popped out, so he got the one out, but he's kind of kicking himself for not being able to turn another double play today.
Brandon Belt had a base hit to right that was thrown out by Beltran, trying to extend it to a double, and Westbrook gets out of a little jam midway through this game. It'll be Freese, Molina, and Jay coming up. It's 2-1 St. Louis. Cardinals Live presented by Toyota is coming up again tomorrow at 6:30. And remember, it's our Ask the Umpire week. Kevin Kelly is a hometowner. It's out of Major League Baseball now, but kind enough to join us and go over some of the rules and most commonly asked questions. And you'll see that on the pregame show tomorrow. And that'll come your way at 6:30. David Freese digs in for the second time tonight. He has walked and scored. Cardinals lead it 2-1 here in the home half of the fourth. And his slider misses outside. Washington leading the National League East by 3 games over Atlanta. As Freese taps it foul. Cincinnati over Pittsburgh by 4.5. The Cardinals starting play 7 games back. And a tight race in the West. San Francisco by a half game in front of the Dodgers. And Arizona, they have caught fire. They're just 4 games out.
David Freese. He led the majors with a .458 batting average and a .562 on base percentage in July.
3-1.
Average shot up to .311. 15 home runs, 62 RBIs.
David the other day was talking about a mechanical adjustment. Didn't want to get too much into that for obvious reasons, but it has made a difference as he thought he walked.
Well, that's what got him started on this bench, is he started walking an awful lot until he got that on base percentage up there. And he even admitted that, as we look at that close pitch, called a strike but a bit inside, that he got homer happy in May and his average went in the tank.
Strikes out, and that's how we start play here in the fourth. Last 2 world champions are represented here. Edgar Renteria was the MVP 2 years ago. Out of baseball now. David Freese, the MVP obviously for St. Louis a season ago. Look at how they did it. They both beat Texas.
6 world championship season for the Giants, and obviously 11 for the Cardinals.
Kane has struck out 3 in a row, and Molina lines it foul and into the seats. What a season here for Molina. 16 homers. He's driven in 54. Yachty skies one into shallow left center. 2 away. Don't forget, Cardinal fans, that McDonald's, as you get a look at the fans enjoying the ball game in Big Mac land, they're offering $1 ticket discounts on McCafe products at all St. Louis McDonald's restaurants. And that's from 2 to 5 every day. They've got iced drinks, shakes, real fruit smoothies. So $1 off discounts on McCafe products at all St. Louis McDonald's restaurants. Hope the folks up in Big Mac land are having some fun tonight. Strike on the inside corner to John Jay. Jay singled back in the second, then left stranded. Cardinals, a brief 3-game road trip at the Citizens Bank Park over the weekend. And big news concerning the Phillies is that Roy Halladay will not be shut down for the remainder of the season. There was talk that they would shut him down, make sure he's fully healthy and ready to go by spring training next year. What do you think, Al? Would you put them as your biggest disappointment this year?
I think if there's somebody bigger, you'd have to be equal to them or tied. Nationals, one of the biggest surprises. They can pitch. Saw that they had a decent offense when they're healthy, and they hadn't been healthy, you know, early in the season, but they were winning because of their pitching staff.
And I know you love the fact that Strasburg will be shut down around that 150 innings mark.
I still don't believe it.
Deep down, I don't either.
I know what Davey Johnson's going to say, and I'm sure Strasburg's saying the same thing. I'm in a pennant race. I want to pitch. Mike Rizzo, the general manager of the Nationals, says it doesn't even matter what the owner says. It's my decision.
Said he promised Strasburg and his family, along with his agent Scott Boras, that we will keep this young man healthy no matter what. We're going to win not just this year, but beyond.
And of course, it's Scott Boras is the one that has all the facts as to young pitchers, what happens to them coming back from Tommy John, or even why they have it the first time.
Base hit for Jay into center field.
Snuck under the glove and dive of Terrio. Second hit for John Jay. Ryan Terrio going up the middle and just a little short. He had a tough time after that dive throwing out John Jay, even if he would have caught it.
One thing we saw for the Cardinals last year was that Furcal made a difference at the top of the lineup, but also what he did defensively. He did commit a number of errors, but you saw a difference in range, and many of the balls that he was able to get to, and it's no slight to Terrio, but Furcal, his range was much better at shortstop.
They played together with the Dodgers, and then they played together here, and Terrio is a really team player when he said, hey, I know what Furcal can do. He's a better player, and really understood the loss of playing time.
Tony even mentioned at the end of last year how appreciative he was in the manner in which Terrio went about his business in handling the fact that he did not play a lot down the stretch nor in postseason play. He said that could have become a real big distraction with this team, and he did not let that happen.
Exactly right.
Oh, 2 pitch, and Furcal chases it, strikes out. He's 1 for 2 on the night. Pitchers duel here in St. Louis thus far. It's 2-1 St. Louis. Fly to see your world champion Cardinals when they're on the road with a fleece travel blanket. Brought to you by Delta Airlines. That's August 7th. So tomorrow, 25,000 fans, 16 and older, receive the Delta Airlines Cardinals travel blanket. Brandon Crawford will lead it off, followed by the pitcher Kane, and then Angel Pagan. Out of Mountain View, California, 25-year-old Brandon Crawford, 4th round selection back in 2008. One of the reasons the Giants had him start the season with the big club was because of his glove. Noted as a very slick fielder, but he had a terrible start to the season defensively. Hitters going slumps at the plate. He was in a slump defensively.
It happens. And the one thing you got to guard against is whatever happens at the plate. You can't take it out in the field, lose that concentration. Seen a lot of guys that may be struggling offensively, but they can stay in that lineup because they still play the good D, and they help you win in a matter of time before you start contributing more offensively.
Here's the 0-2 pitch. Little check swing, charging for Kyle, quickly to first, and he got him. Transition from the glove to the throw, the key there for Furcal. Made that play with ease.
Well, first of all, like you said, a check swing. Ralphie has to come in off balance and still has that great arm strength. And you can see how far he beat him. Looks like Westbrook is sailing around a little bit here. Looks like he'll have his 11th consecutive at least 6 innings. 1-3 in a row.
It seems like the Cardinals rotation before it's all said and done will be healthy with the addition, knock on wood, Jaime Garcia. Garcia last start was over the weekend at Double-A. 64 pitches. He's had 2 minor league rehab starts. He's only allowed 6 hits in those 2 starts as Kane strikes out.
He will.
He's 0 for 2. Carsoup.com email the booth question from Cuba, Missouri. What is the most effective pitch in a bunting situation, Mr. Raboski?
Well, it depends on the pitcher, but I think what most people like to do is they want to elevate the ball and make it difficult for the hitter to bunt down on the ball. A lot of people believe that if you're taught properly, the breaking pitch is the easiest pitch to bunt. So a high fastball is the most effective. Watch here. Now that just really, it's up in today's strike zone, but it's poor technique that popped that up. But if you even think about that being a little bit higher, and then how difficult it is, you know, have that flex in your knees so you can come up and down. But if it's up in the zone, you have a tendency to pop it up.
Here's a ground ball, and Craig keeps it in front, plenty of time, knocks it down, and makes the play. Westbrook is set down 6 straight, 2-1 midway through 5. What's on Tap is brought to you by Budweiser, Zito, and Lynn tomorrow. Zito, a former Cy Young Award winner. Lance Lynn, terrific first year in the rotation, a record of 13-4. And we'll have it for you tomorrow at 6:30. It's our Budweiser What's on Tap. Here's Westbrook, tonight's starter. Bottom 5 rolls in, and that's strike 1. Looks like both pitchers have really started to settle in.
Unfortunately, as you say, both. When we were hopeful it was just Westbrook and not Kane. We expected this to be a good pitching matchup, and it's turned out to be.
Now, when you were playing, you'd head out west to San Francisco, and the Cardinals would run into some of the best pitching that baseball, and I mean in the history of the game, that fans have ever seen.
Think about, you go to Los Angeles, you see Koufax and Drysdale, Sutton, Osteen, guys like that. And you up north, you had Marichal and Gaylord Perry. And you had a few Hall of Famers in the field, too.
It's 7 strikeouts for Matt Cain.
In his perfect game, he struck out 14, Matt Cain. That tied Koufax for the most strikeouts in a perfect game.
Cold,
obviously
chilly.
no walks.
Yeah, that kind of pitching. You had hard throwers, cold, chilly nights. San Francisco, Candlestick.
And you went to Candlestick.
Oh yeah, we did games there.
Yeah.
Yep.
But It was always for a night game. You take batting practice, you go in and change your jerseys, and you come out and say, what happened? It would be a beautiful afternoon.
Descalso with a high fly ball down the right field line. Did he get enough? And it is a foul ball. Home run distance, and missed it by about 3 or 4 feet.
I just want to give a souvenir to that young man. How far? There's your distance, and there's your foul territory.
Hell, you forget you and I have been together for 15 years doing
I
this.
forget how long AT&T Park's been out there. 10?
Trying to think off the top of my head. It was Pac Bell. We had AT&T. So I could get you on a technicality on a name, but
yes, you could.
but I know what you mean. And we always tell fans, if you get the chance to head out to San Francisco, take in that ballpark. It's magnificent.
Absolutely. Walking down the pregame set, I saw quite a few Giants fans in attendance. It's always fun to see.
The first world title in San Francisco. They had won franchise championships prior to 2 years ago, but not in the town of San Francisco.
5 in New York and 1 in San Francisco.
We head out there. You still see Stretch, Willie McCovey. Willie Mays occasionally is there. Descalso, a ground ball to the left side. And there's 2 away. Speaking of Willie,
that's his number. I guess get a kick out of seeing like Tito Fuentes. Played with Tito in winter ball in the Dominican. Very colorful. Tito was from Cuba, but would play in the Dominican Republic.
Two outs. Here's Alan Craig. He's lined out and also flied out. 0 for 2 on the night. 2-1 lead for St. Louis. Father and son, they come to the ballpark, and well, you got to load them up. A little soda, cotton candy, ice cream, hot dogs, peanuts, and Cracker Jack. And hopefully you learn a thing or two as well. I don't think I could say that, Al. I was at the ball game last night with a 7-year-old, a 5-year-old, and a 3-year-old, and the only thing they learned was how to make more of a mess. Because it was messy when we left the ballpark. And to those fans sitting in front and behind us, I now publicly apologize. I think we dumped water on one, ice cream on another.
Just all part of the game experience, Dan.
Absolutely. Nothing like coming to the park.
So you bring 3 of the 4?
Oh no, all of them.
You brought them all.
All
Okay.
4.
The twins were here.
They count as one if you want to look at it that way, or you can split them up either way. But they're trouble. Here's the 0-2. Ground ball hit to third. Kane is settled in, and so has Jake Westbrook. Good ball game tonight. The first of 4. St. Louis, San Francisco. It's 2-1. Cardinals baseball on Fox Sports Midwest is brought to you by AT&T, the nation's largest 4G network. AT&T, rethink possible. And by Ford, the official vehicles of the St. Louis Cardinals. Cardinals with a lead of 2-1 as we move to the 6th inning. Ryan Theriot leads it off. He's hitting .266 in limited duty this year with the Giants. Last year, over 130 games with the Cardinals, and he hit .271. 1 home run, drove in 47. Now 32 years of age. One pitch to Theriot. Make it strike 2. think over the course of a long season, 162, how important a guy like Jake Westbrook is. The fact that he gives you a start every 5 days, he doesn't get hurt. Time in and time out, a chance to win. The innings pile up by the end of the season. Here's a ground ball that's hit to short, gloved by Fricall, and there's one out.
Well, that's it, Dan. The definition of a starting pitcher is, can he give your team a chance to win? Can he go deep enough into a ball game that you take pressure off the bullpen? Even if he is behind the game, you're still in a striking position to come from behind. And in this case, he's 2 outs away from having his 11th consecutive at least six inning appearance.
Ball 1-2 Cabrera. He's 2 for 2, a pair of singles. Notice that this lineup is missing Pablo Sandoval. Bruce Bochy saying before the game that Sandoval, as Cabrera lines it into right, first time the Cardinals have retired him. They said that Sandoval will not play in this series, trying to come back from a hamstring injury. He was running prior to the game in the field here at Busch Stadium. Let's a look at our Hyundai replay. The catch by Beltran.
Comes in on that ball. It's sinking line drive, and Beltran seems to be moving pretty well today in this game.
I think we both have noticed, as pitch count is at 74 for Westbrook, this is Buster Posey, that teams have elected to test Carlos Beltran. As the word I'm sure is out, you get all the tape and look at games, that he's not as mobile as he once was, and balls in the gap especially. See hitters hustling out of the box, but Beltran, as Posey hits one out to deep left center field. Did he get enough? Yes, he did. That ball is gone, and we're tied up. It's 2-2. Buster Posey with home run number 17.
One of the hottest hitters since the All-Star break. His second hit of this game. National League Rookie of the Year a couple of years ago, and he just puts this drive out there. So both runs today off of Westbrook have been on home run pitches, and that's only the 9th and 10th home runs he's allowed this season.
431 feet the distance of that home run. RBI number 70 for Posey, and this is Hunter Pence. But just to finish the thought on Beltran, the teams have been testing him, but he seems to be able to take it up a notch or two when it's needed.
And I think it's, you said, we've noticed that kind of ordered to play under control.
4th strikeout for Jake Westbrook. Cardinals have Holiday, Beltran, and Freese coming up. Buster Posey takes one deep and ties it up, a solo shot. 2-2 here at Busch Stadium. If you'd like to be here in person, you have a chance to choose the seats where you'd like to sit at StubHub, the official fan-to-fan ticket marketplace of the world champion Cardinals. That's for right here at Busch Stadium or on the road. Matt Holliday leads it off. We're in the bottom of the 6th. Good ball game here, Al. It's 2-2. The pitchers have been part of the story and probably the main story this evening, as both teams have had a chance to add on but have not been able to do that. Cardinals and Giants have stranded 3. San Francisco's out hit St. Louis 7-4.
Probably surprising that 3 home runs have been hit off of these two. Holiday 0 for 2. He has 3 career home runs against Kane, but a low batting average.
2 balls and 1 strike on Matt Holliday. 0 for 2 tonight. He's flied to right and also struck out.
Look at how far off the left field line Cabrera is, the left fielder.
2-2.
Talked about how important this stretch is for St. Louis with all the home baseball that they'll play. Same can be said for the Pirates beginning tonight. 11 games that they will play in a row at PNC Park.
And they won tonight. Shutout. Started by Bedard, Eric Bedard. He's been a good pickup for Pittsburgh. 4-0 over the Diamondbacks.
So they've got Arizona, then the Dodgers in a 4-game set. They'll finish up with 3 with San Diego.
Ben Sheets wins again for Atlanta.
Wow, what a story that is. It's fouled back by Holiday. 3-2 with nobody out. Just underway here in the bottom of the 6th.
.91 pitches thrown. In his perfect game, he threw 125.
And that is ripped down the left field line. They pitched him inside and played him to left center field. It does not pay off as Holiday winds up with a double. Thought about heading to third. No stop there. Leadoff double. Go ahead run in scoring position.
28th double of the year for Holiday. And as you said, they had bunched him in the outfield, so he hit that one all the way to the wall. A long run for Cabrera. Well, hanging breaking ball sat on the inside part of the plate, and Cabrera had to go a long way to get that ball. Ball was also a rocket. Got that ball up, it would have been out of here, but just didn't have the height. Had the muscle behind it.
Ball taken low by Beltran, and as you noted, they played him a little bit to left center, but then pitch him inside, and he was able to yank it down that left field line.
It's a breaking ball that I'm sure they wanted to end up outside.
Trying to keep him close at second, and Beltran shoots one out to left center. Pagan makes the catch. Holiday will test him. The throw into third. He is safe. Aggressive play by Holiday, and it pays off.
Brian Runge, our third base umpire, he got right in there and had put his nose right down and got a good look at that play. It appeared the throw had beat him. We aren't sure about the tag. Strong throw by Pagan. One hops, and it looks like the leg did get down before the tag. Took that little high bounce. The leg's there, and good call. I think you get a better look here. The foot is there just slightly ahead of the tag.
Boy, you'd love to see that, the aggressive nature of Holiday where it pays off. That's big. Now chance for Freeze. Walked and scored in the second, and he's also struck out. The infield is in. Outfield straight away. Freeze sitting on 62 RBIs, and he takes a ball a little high.
Like your chance with David right here with the one out, very least a sac fly. Some people have a natural knack for driving in runs. You have to put Freeze and also Alan Craig in that category.
1-0 pitch. Freeze pops it foul out of play. Ground ball, and Holiday has to get a good jump with this infield in. The 1-1. 1 ball and 2 strikes.
Slider, they tried to push to the right side. Good battle because Kane has the ability to elevate pitches, get people to chase, pitch a pop-up or a strikeout, and you have that runner at third and less than 2 outs.
1-2 pitch. Freeze, a liner into center field. Pagan going back. He'll make the catch. Holiday can walk on home. 3-2. Cardinals. Freeze puts the Redbirds back on top. RBI number 63.
Saw when Buster Posey set up inside. I thought that was going to be good for the Cardinals. He didn't get it inside. He left it middle. That ball was smoked. At the sacrifice fly, driving in Holiday. The Cardinals regain the lead. 63rd RBI for David Freese.
Molina just foul. Okendo taking a look to make sure that it was indeed foul. Staring at the chalk of the third base line.
Scudero was trying to point out and say it was foul.
We may look back as the play of this game and of the night. Matt Holliday tagging up on that aggressive play, and the ball hit the center.
Dan, that's what you love. You've got to play aggressively. Good judgment, good thinking.
Base hit to right for Yadier Molina.
You know, you just can't be afraid to make a mistake there. So set up the sac fly for David Freese by Matt being so aggressive and tagging up on the drive by Beltran.
John Jay 2 for 2, pair of singles.
Brandon Belt, first baseman, playing in front of Molina. 2 outs, and Molina, his speed, could back up and play behind him, give it a little better defensive range.
1-0 pitch. 2 balls and no strikes.
And he does have 11 steals and 12 attempts as pitchers just forget about him. And Kane is now over 100 pitches.
His spot is not due up until 4th, looking ahead to the top of the 7th. Off the glove of Belt, base hit into right. Molina. Stop at second base.
There's a good example right there. If he's playing behind the runner, he probably has that extra range to make this play. But playing in front of the runner, it cuts down. He would definitely made that play if he was playing behind the runner. Getty, another visit out game.
Got for Kyle up and then a Westbrook spot.
They have warming up in the bullpen, so if they do want to pinch hit for Westbrook, Mojica will be the guy. He's the 7th inning man. So
are you a little surprised at least not to see anybody up and throwing for San Francisco? Nobody up even stretching at this point.
I think it's respect for Kane and what he has accomplished, that even though he's over 100 pitches, you still feel more comfortable and confident that he can get out of this jam than any of your relievers. I mean, that's not quite the Brian Wilson bullpen anymore.
Wilson, the former closer, who's out again with injury. For Kyle with runners at first and second. Outfield is straight away. Cardinals with a lead of 3-2. Kyle came through back in the second inning with a base hit, RBI, his 43rd. He struck out in the 4th. 43 RBIs for Kyle. Of course, primarily that comes from the leadoff spot. Not too shabby. Oh, 1 pitch.
Needs to lay off that pitch, as Kane's trying to do that and force him to hit a ball in the air.
Shortstop Crawford trying to keep Molina close at second base, and big gap between third and short. If Racal can shoot one that way. Now he backs up. Ooh, up and in. 2 balls and 1 strike.
somewhat in the mind of the Giants, as they're not afraid to pitch around for call, make him get himself out.
The 2-1 pitch. Molina is running, and he had it stolen again. 2-2. Maybe he's thinking, I want to be a 2020 guy.
It's the way to think. And he is so smart, but he'll pick his spots, especially a situation like this with 2 outs, 2 strikes. Kane really isn't going to worry about him. He's just going to worry about trying to get the hitter out.
Count is even, 2-2 with 2 runners on.
Now there is activity in the bullpen for the Giants.
Runners go. The 3-2 is hit out of play. Matt Cain at 109 tonight, averaging just about 107. That's in 21 starts. Big pitch upcoming here. 3-2 on for Cowell. There go the runners. A check swing, and he did not go. The bases are loaded. Matchup of 2 teams with identical records, and looking at where they're at, the biggest difference, runs, opponent runs, but the difference is, look at the Cardinals at plus 111, and yet only 10 games above 500, which is a bit surprising. Matt Carpenter has been announced as the pinch hitter, so that'll close the book on Jake Westbrook, who has a chance to win this game.
It's a must move by Matheny. Can't allow this opportunity to get by you. And Carpenter has really, I was looking at among National League rookies, he figures very prominently in a lot of different categories, and really,
and that's in limited time too.
That's the point I was going to make. With limited time, he's really put himself up there in many categories, whether it's RBIs, triples, batting average.
I was talking with the coaching staff about Carpenter the other day, and they mentioned how rarely, if ever, do they see him chase pitches out of the zone. And if you go back and look at his on-base percentage when he was in the minor leagues, college, he drew an awful lot of walks and saw a lot of pitches. You don't see him swing early and often in counts. 1-0 pitch here.
Done an awful lot of damage here at home, where he's hit .329 with 14 of his 23 RBIs at home.
.308 with runners in scoring position this season. The bases loaded here in the bottom of the 6th.
4 for 18 with 6 RBIs as a pinch hitter.
1-1 is a foul ball. 1-2.
Good hitters do not mind hitting when they're down in the count.
That was the point of the coaching staff, going deep into counts or falling behind. They believe more times than not Carpenter will give you a very good at bat in spots like this, but he's in the hole here against one of the best in Matt Cain.
He's 3 for 3 off of Cain in his career.
Here's a 1-2 pitch. Carpenter delivers with a base hit out to left. 1 run is in. Here comes another. Carpenter delivers. Winds up at second base. The Cardinals get to Matt Cain here in the 6th.
It's a base hit, 2 RBIs for Carpenter. He knocks Matt Cain. He's now 4 for 4 off of Cain. And they allowed him to get himself into scoring position also, the way they played this defensively. John Jay is a real key. 2 strikes, he takes off here. He's going to score easily. The pitcher not backing up the play. The play gets away from Posey. The bench has to be liking this. And they have 2nd and 3rd because that ball getting away.
Cain is out, 5-2 St. Louis. Jake Westbrook a chance to pick up the win. St. Louis with a lead of 5-2. Mike Matheny pulling Westbrook, going with Matt Carpenter. The Schnucks difference maker tonight with a 2-run pinch hit single here in the 6th inning. Bruce Bochy on the other side decided to stay with Matt Cain. Doesn't work. It's our Chevy call to the pin. And this is the right-hander, Cantos, that's brought into the ball game with an ERA of 2.42 in 21 games, no record. He's only walked 6 in 22 1/3. He struck out 23. So good numbers. And we'll try to limit the damage here and keep this a 3-run St. Louis lead.
Has been averaging 9.3 strikeouts per 9 innings. Has allowed 7 of 12 inherited runners to score.
Little tapper out in front of the plate. And out at first is Descalso. Westbrook can just sit back and watch. It's up to the bullpen now. Cardinals lead it here at home in game 1. We will keep you updated throughout August and September of the teams that the Cardinals are chasing in this pennant race, courtesy of Fox Sports Wisconsin. Good news, as Milwaukee hits 3 home runs in the 6th. They knock out Bronson Arroyo. And the Brewers with home runs by Maldonado, Ramirez, and Hart, and they lead that ball game. Our ball game is 5-2, and in Pittsburgh, Eric Bedard goes 7 innings, allows just 2 hits and strikes out 5, and the Pirates defeat the Diamondbacks 4-0. So the Pirates a chance to gain ground along with St. Louis tonight if Milwaukee can hold on. Giovanni Gallardo still pitching for the Milwaukee Brewers. He made that start. Pittsburgh a chance to be 3 back. The Cardinals within 6 if they hold on.
Yeah, what a difference, though. You know, a year ago, if Milwaukee had a lead late in the ball game, you know, it was automatic. They were going to hold that. But right now, that bullpen is very, very porous. And who's going to close it out?
And if you're Ron Renicky, it changes your mindset and how you may approach keeping a starter in, because he might be your best bet.
That's it. Kind of like it. Bruce Bochy wanted to leave Cain in there. And Mujica, who's been outstanding. This is his 4th appearance of the Cardinals. He's picked up 3 holds in his first 3 appearances. He's the missing link. The 7th inning man. Bridge the gap from starter to late inning, Boggs and Mott.
Westbrook tonight, only 79 pitches, very efficient. 55 were strikes.
But Mike Matheny had to go with the
no question
pinch hit in that situation, and it paid off with a couple insurance runs.
Catches the corner and a strikeout of Marco Scutaro. Good start for Mujica. We begin play here in the top of the 7th. 5-2 St. Louis. We turn to the trivia question presented by AT&T. Who has the most hits in Major League Baseball since 2011?
You know this. Might surprise other people, though.
Melky Cabrera. 352.
And boy, Kansas City, they tried to sign Cabrera and Francoeur. They knew they could sign only one. Melky balked at it. Francoeur said, "I'll take it." So they traded Melky to the Giants, and he's having a career year.
Pretty good list to be a part of with Gonzalez, Cabrera, Young, and Castro. 0-1 pitch is inside to Brandon Belt. Now, in defense of the Royals, and I'm with you, Al, I mean, they made the attempts, but the one thing that even Cabrera has admitted is that he was out of shape when he played for Kansas City. There's a shot into right center field. He also said he was out of shape at the end of his time with the New York Yankees. So he's got himself in very good shape, and it's paid dividends. Don't forget about the NFL on Fox. It's that time of year, and preseason football. Bengals and Falcons, Lions, Ravens, Thursday and Friday. NFL on Fox, the preseason specials.
Yeah, that's a tough thing for an organization. You know, you expect he to be in shape, and I guess from the Royals fans, it was a calculated.
Brandon Crawford with a high fly ball
in the park.
Thank you, Mr. Raboski. Got a little nervous there. Just a long, high fly ball out as Blanco will be the hitter.
It sounded good.
Sure did.
But when I looked up to see where Beltran was, I said, okay, can of corn.
Gregor Blanco, who's a speedster, has 19 steals, along with Pagan to lead their team, will be the pinch hitter. Just to further your point, and that's what makes, from an organizational standpoint in particular, a GM standpoint, signing a player long term, you have faith that he's going to live up to his end of the bargain, which would be what he can control, being in shape.
And weight would be one that you would think, especially if you had experience, you know, from his Yankee days, and his stock went down dramatically.
Here's a ground ball on the first pitch. Let's stretch. Force play at second. In game one against the Giants, Redbirds on top. It's 5-2. $3-0 so far in this homestand. That means as we speak, there are $10 tickets available for the games coming up against the Diamondbacks and Houston Astros. And they'll keep on going down. Cardinals have a chance, if they continue to win, to give you free tickets. It'll be cardinals.com/win. Once this homestand is over with, you head to cardinals.com/win on Friday morning at 10 a.m. Is Molina still learning about Mojica and vice versa?
It's great to see is going over a little mechanics. He was talking about Mojica's motion, or talking about a hitter, what they're trying to do against him. And we got a new pitcher, Shane Lukes, who was just activated from the disabled list on Thursday. Missed 27 games with a neck strain. Hopefully it wasn't throwing a pitch and then seeing how far it snapped your neck, seeing how far it went.
It's never good.
That's never good for a pitcher.
Shane Lukes, spelled L-O-U-X. He is from South Dakota, 32-year-old from Rapid City, South Dakota.
He's allowed 11 runs, 10 earned in 18 2/3 innings this year. And he has been a very thankful recipient of the minor league free agent rule. He was selected originally in the second round, the 1997 draft by the Detroit, then signed as a free agent with Kansas City, signed with a free agent with the Angels, signed as a free agent by Houston, and then signed as a free agent back in December of 2010.
Craig stays alive. Another scoreless outing for Mojica. 4 appearances, 3 hits, no runs, 4 holds since joining the Cardinals, and that was less than a week ago. So he's paid dividends.
And we kind of wondered why he didn't pitch 1/7 inning in Colorado. But all of his appearances have been in the 7th inning, and he's done the job for the Cardinals ever since acquiring him to be that 7th inning man.
A hanger, and that's a fair ball. Craig on his way to second. He's got to hustle in there safely. Leadoff double for Alan Craig. Really a delayed call down that third base line by the umpire.
I think it was the correct call, but Brian Runge, as you said, was a little delayed, like right over the bag, and took him a second, and then he called it fair.
Kendo and Scudero talking about, I believe, that last ball that was hit. They're saying, well, the other one was fair, but this one was foul. Yeah, I agree with you. Most runs per game against the Giants, and the Cardinals since 2011 inching closer to the Cincinnati Reds, just slightly ahead of them.
What was the last score you gave of the Cincinnati Milwaukee game?
5-1.
Okay, still 5-1, but Braun is hitting, so that's good news.
Here's Matt Holliday and a swing and a miss. You know, there are stats for everything in the game of baseball, and this may answer your question as to why Mojica didn't go back-to-back nights. Tim Trokey of our staff said that Mojica entered the night with an ERA close to 8, 7.38 ERA on 0 days rest, which is the worst in Major League Baseball since 1921. As that ball scoots away, and Craig advances to third. That's a minimum 50 appearances, so you know, if we know that down there in the dugout, Mike Matheny knows that.
They know that too, but kind of a not much of an effort there by Posey. It's a wild pitch, but a ball that we see Molina or Tony Cruz block 99% of the time.
Tim Trokey, a graduate of Lindenwood University, and
that explains it.
The Hall of Famer Lou Brock has his annual golf tournament a week from today to benefit Lindenwood. Time was called and granted as home plate umpires looking back at the fans, not necessarily up here to the press box. Lou and Jackie Brock pass along. There are still spots available for Lou's tournament, which has a dinner on Saturday and the golf outing on Monday at Whitmore Country Club.
And I'll pass along to Lou and Jackie. The only reason I'm not going to be there is because we will be in Philadelphia.
That's right.
But we wish them all the best.
Raised a lot of money for scholarships and a chance for kids to go to school. As Holliday puts it in play, third baseman was in, and there's one away.
And Dan, I had the pleasure of being out there for the Lou Brock statue ceremonies out at Lindbergh, and I was shocked at what a beautiful campus.
Gorgeous. Now, one of your daughters went to Lindenwood, correct?
Yeah, Nikki went her last 2 years there. First 2 years in Indiana, but then she went there and intentionally passed Beltran. A lot of radio and TV personalities in the St. Louis area, graduates from Lindenwood.
Absolutely. Intentional walk to Beltran, and they will get to Freeze. I still will go back, Al, and look at Beltran's fly ball to center in the 6th inning with Holliday tagging up as maybe the play of the game.
I have no doubt. I think you're absolutely right.
Just little things you look at. I mean, it's clear that the Carpenter base hit is huge, but Holliday, when he tagged up in a tie game, goes to third with one out. Freeze drives him in. That gave the Cardinals at that point a 3-2 lead. They added 2 more to make it 5-2, and David a chance to do some damage here.
Up his 63rd RBI on that sac fly. And a couple little scratch hits by Molina and Jay before the big pinch hit by Matt Carpenter drove in 2 with 2 outs.
Runners at first and third with 1 down. Little bit inside. Points so much to last year's postseason with David Freeze, but the improvements he's made year after year at this level. Astonishing. And that's something that John Mozeliak spotted with David Freese, making that deal with San Diego. We were talking the other day that John actually added in $1 million to that deal to make sure that Freese was a part of the deal coming back to St. Louis. The San Diego wasn't sure they wanted to get rid of him.
And at the beginning, you know, you just kind of thought that was, you know, a throw in a local kid.
Wow. Rarely, if ever, does it work, and it does it here. Thank goodness, says Beltran.
Sometimes you can get some of the smartest base runners on that play.
That would have been embarrassing.
Takes off here, and he steps off. Could have ran right back at him, but he gave it to his second baseman, and then there's too much separation, allowing Beltran to get back to the bag.
Here is a 1-1 pitch.
Because if you remember right, I think when David was acquired, I think he was about 26, and he had never been out of A-ball. They challenged him, put him at Memphis in AAA, and he responded with a big home run and power production. The rest of it's history. But he's also playing in his 99th game. Remember, he had never played more than 97 games in a season because of the broken hand, because of the ankle surgeries. So we've all kind of said, what will he do if he gets 500 at bats? We're starting to see.
Two-two pitch. Freese hits it left side. That's a fair ball. Base hit, David Freese. 6-2. He drives in his second run of the night. The Cardinals have opened up a 4-run lead.
Right over the bag. You mentioned Scudero had not played third base since '08. He's had a couple tough chances. Clearly right in front of the bag. Trying to backhand it would have been a difficult throw, but perfectly placed. Run comes home, making it 6-2 Cardinals, and still batting with just one out for Molina, 2 men on.
Yachty with a base hit and a run scored back in the 6th inning. He's fly to center and also struck out. Boggs throwing in the pen and getting loose. And if you open this game up, you wonder if Mike Matheny then would have the option to sit Mitchell Boggs and give Mott the night off as well.
Mike tries to keep things so positive down there. Mitchell's been on such a great run. So same thing with Mott. But you could see him opening it up in the 9th inning. Maybe make sure you get to the 9th inning. Got a 4-run lead now. Hopefully Yachty can make it a little easier, because you got guys down there you're going to have to use also. And it would be a good time, you know, to see Fuentes in a 9th inning. 204 career saves. You know, he has chomping at the bit to show that he can still pitch in the 9th inning in a non-save situation or save situation.
3 balls and no strikes. Our crowd tonight, 38,652. 38652. Fuentes there on the right. Jason Mott on the left.
That's another aspect, having Fuentes, who's a very good teammate, but provide a little leadership down there in that bullpen too. Experience, one thing it's lacking.
2 walks in the inning, one of those intentional to Beltran, and now the bases are loaded. Beltran is at third. David Freese with a base hit on the infield, 2 RBIs at second. Molina on base for the second time tonight.
Dave Rigetti, Tremendous pitcher in his own career, in a starting rotation or a bullpenner. Very highly thought of.
Mitchell Boggs, it's been 55 days since he's been scored upon. He pitched again last night, 3-0 win, scoreless inning. Pitched in 2 games against Milwaukee over the weekend, so wouldn't be the worst thing to see him have a day off.
Yeah, 23 straight scoreless appearances. Team high, and also the top active streak in the National League.
John Jay with 3 base hits on the night. All have been singles. Scored a run back in the 6th inning. Bases are loaded for St. Louis, and they lead it by 4. Outfield is straight away. Oh, 0-2. Jay fouls it down the left field line. Cardinals picked up 2 runs after falling behind in the first with a home run by Pagan. 2 runs in the second, 3 in the 6th. They've added another here in the 7th. Bases are loaded here for John Jay, who I'm sure was hearing through the media his name being talked about around the trade deadline as a guy that maybe wouldn't play every day if they could find more production at center field. And since that time, he has stepped it up. Played very well. 0-2 pitch.
That's one area that maybe the Cardinals could, lacking if they have a right-hand hitting center fielder. On that bench, not a lot of experience, so where a guy like Reed Johnson would have fit the bill. He went from the Cubs to Atlanta.
Salas now begins to throw in the bullpen next to Boggs, who's just standing on the mound. He's warm and loose. The 1-2 pitch. Jay up the middle, under the glove of Terrio. 2 runs will score. Throw to the plate is cut off. They'll get the man at third. That's Molina. John Jay delivers and has opened it up. The Cardinals have the lead of 8-2. A 4-hit night for John Jay. A run scored and 2 RBIs to make it 22 in this 2012 campaign.
Right back of the middle into center field. 2 runners are going to score. 8-3-5 on the forced play of Molina.
Big gap in right center field. This is Rafael Furcal. 8-2 St. Louis. Boggs has a seat. And this is a good time to get Salas going.
We're talking about what's going to happen late in that ball game with Milwaukee. They still have a 5-1 lead, but the bases are loaded for Todd Frazier, who's been hot and only 1 out.
2 balls and no strikes. Matches a career high tonight for John Jay with those 4 base hits. Matt Carpenter, big pinch hit RBI that scored 2 for Kyle, lines it to left, and the catch made by Cabrera. The Cardinals pick up 3. They have 11 hits tonight. 8-2 St. Louis. Welcome back to Cardinals baseball on Fox Sports Midwest. Let's go to our studio with this Bommarito Sports Update and Pat Paris.
Thanks, Dan. The struggling Astros hosting the Nats tonight. Top 5 tied at 1. Bases loaded for Ryan Zimmerman. Hits a chopper that'll score a pair of runs. Zimmerman thrown out at second, but the damage is done. Astros about to tie a modern-day record with the loss. 4-31 over the last 35 games. Dan, now back to you.
So Salas is into the ball game for St. Louis, and the Cardinals have banged out 11 hits. They lead it by the score of 8-2. They've done this, just looking on paper at the matchup against one of the best right-handers in all the baseball in Matt Cain. Big win if they can hold on.
And that's just where they're going to have to play. They're plenty of offense again. 8 runs and 11 hits. Westbrook was very good. He allowed 2 solo home runs for the Giants scoring. And we could probably expect to see a lot of good pitching in this series. Fernando, 43rd time, 1-4.
1 ball, 1 strike on Pagan.
Led the ball club with 24 saves a year ago, but just does not have the command. Many times was pitching behind the count. A lot of times he can't get his changeup down. I think that's his best pitch. But if you're going to get anything out of him, you've got to continue to show faith.
A fly ball out to left. 1 away. Pagan retired for just the 2nd time tonight. 2 for 4 with the homer. Here's Ryan Theriot having words with Yadier Molina. A couple of smiles. Theriot is struck out swinging back in the 1st inning. Popped out to short and also grounded out to short. The first pitch is a fly ball into right. Easy play for Beltran. 2 away.
You don't want to take anything away from this Giants ball club offensively, but when you get by Cabrera, Posey, and Pence, it's not like you're facing you as a pitcher. You can see where your outs are going to come from.
Sure.
So if you're getting a little jam, you really got to be careful with 3 guys in the middle. But after that, if you make your good pitches, you're going to get rewarded.
Missing Pablo Sandoval is big. Changes their lineup significantly, just like losing last year Buster Posey for them. Changed their lineup an awful lot. Posey is homer tonight.
They've been winning their games primarily with the pitching, and we talked to their defense has tightened up, but it's still statistically the worst in the National League. That doesn't usually go with good pitching.
Here's a 1-1 pitch on the outside corner. In the dirt, he chased it. Strikeout of Cabrera. Home half of the 8th rolls in when we come back, and it's 8-2. Cardinals baseball on Fox Sports Midwest, brought to you by Budweiser. Great times are waiting. Grab some buds. By the state of Missouri Tobacco Quit Line. Call 1-800-QUIT-NOW. And by Taco Bell. Taco Bell. Live Moss. Skip Schumacher, the pinch hitter, as we start playing the home half of the 8th. 8-2 St. Louis. Skip shoots one foul. Reminder that on Wednesday night it's the evening for baby Risa, Skip's family friend, and Risa dealing with Krabbe disease, and you can buy a ticket and sit in a field box level seat this Wednesday for just $20, and 10 of that will go to research and the fight of Krabbe disease. Go to cardinals.com/Baby Risa. Cardinals.com/Baby Risa. You can buy your tickets there. Also learn more about the disease and the family that we will be honoring on Wednesday night. 0-2 is a base hit out to left. This copyrighted telecast is presented by the authority of the St. Louis Cardinals and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. And the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the world champion St. Louis Cardinals.
Baby Risa event they had in O'Fallon last homestand raised over $100,000 for the family and the foundation.
Yeah, my understanding is, Al, that over $200,000 has been raised since Skip began promoting the event and what Krabbe disease is.
And then it's also, I believe it's a family called the Cunninghams that went through this same experience and a few years ago, and their child no longer with us, but they had worked very hard and got a bill passed to, it hadn't been funded yet and hadn't really come into fruition, but eventually that at every birth they will add.
There's a double play ball out at second, back to first. Nicely turned. Tough double play to turn. They do it.
They'll add this testing to the blood work that normally goes on. No any more blood will not be needed, but they can run that test where this Krabbe disease can be found and controlled at a young age.
Turn to our Nissan drive of the game, and it's Carlos Beltran. And Beltran with a long home run got things started back in the second inning. His 26th of the year. RBI number 78. Cardinals got on the board, tied it up at that point, and eventually took the lead. They're in control now 8-2. Two outs. First pitch to Craig is hit out of play. It's a disease that breaks down the nervous system. Eventually children will die before the age of 2, and Baby Risa is still with us, and Baby Risa will be here on Wednesday night. So very special night for Skip and his family and the Stutzmans. That's their names. Cardinals.com/Baby Risa. Ground ball that's hit to short. Nice pick by Belt at first. We head to the ninth. Cardinals on top, 8-2.
It's an 8-2 Cardinal lead as we head to the ninth in St. Louis. Coming up after the game on the post-game edition of Missouri Lottery Cardinals Live, Pat Paris and Cal Eldred are at Lumiere Place. Cal will outline how to get to Matt Cain. They'll break down Jake Westbrook's night, and we'll get Mike Matheny's post-game thoughts as well. Brian Fuentes on to pitch for the Cards. We send it back to the booth and Dan and Al. Guys.
All right, it's a chance to look at, again, the new lefty of the Cardinals. He gave up a 2-run homer in 2/3 of an inning on Thursday in Colorado. 2 holds in 4 appearances since joining the Redbirds. Al, it's a situation where he's still trying to get comfortable and feel his way through this. What have you thought so far about number 40?
I like what I've seen, and I think he's going to be a big benefit to the Cardinals. As you said, he had the one outing where he gave up a 2-run home run. That game was already decided in the favor of Colorado. His biggest problem has been that he was not pitching on a consistent basis before he was released. That's why he agreed to go to the minor leagues, and that won a lot of brownie points with me to try and get back into pitching shape. Still has a very, very effective changeup. Doesn't throw as hard as he once did, but he's got a lot of knowledge, knows how to spot that pitch. Breaking ball is still good enough. I think used properly, he'll be a big benefit. And I like the fact that, you know, Salas got an innings work here. Now you get Fuentes in there. Cardinals carrying 3 left-handed relievers. That only works if they get enough work.
Here's a 2-0 pitch to Buster Posey and a strike. On the air tomorrow at 6:30. Lance Lynn and Barry Zito. Posey is homered tonight. Evens it up at 2-2.
Going to be an interesting ninth inning in Milwaukee as Cincinnati scored a pair of runs to make it a 5-3 game in the bottom of the 8th now.
Strikeout of Posey to start this ninth inning here in St. Louis.
Brian Fuentes got a good pitch right there, right on the black, down and in. Freese is an outstanding hitter. Got 204 career saves. That's 6th most by a left-handed reliever, and he has the most active saves by any left-hander in the game today.
A strike to Hunter Pence.
Really will help out also is returning to the National League, where they're not familiar with his unorthodox motion.
Cardinals trying to improve to a season best 11 games above the 500 mark with a win tonight. Just gets the feeling right now things are starting to come together.
Well, it just didn't make sense earlier in the season when they were struggling playing at home. They were sub 500 home and take advantage of this unbelievable atmosphere, Cardinal Nation. They can run their record now to 33-21 at home with a victory here. They're right 1 game under 500 on the road. They were actually earlier in the season playing much better on the road than at home. And we have the rest of this homestand. Only play Friday, Saturday, and Sunday on the road before we come home for another nice trip at home to pick up the ground.
Swing and a miss. Fuentes strikeout of Posey, and now Pence 2 away in this 8-2 game. Our player of the game is John Jay, presented by Budweiser. 4 for 4, all singles, pair of RBIs, and a run scored. Over 38,000. They're on their feet. Westbrook, 6 innings, pair of runs, 7 hits, did not walk anybody, 4 strikeouts. A chance to pick up the win. 2 strikes away. It would be his 11th this year. 1 ball, 1 strike on Scudero. And a ground ball that should do it. Freese stays down, and the Cardinals win it. 8-2 the final. They take game 1 of the 4-game set against San Francisco.
A real good win. Westbrook wins his 4th consecutive game. A big pinch hit by Carpenter. 3 shutout innings by the bullpen. You score 8 runs, it means a victory. And this ball club's starting to feel good about themselves with their 4th straight win at home.
And win number 60 overall. 60-49 are the St. Louis Cardinals, and here they come. They win it tonight. 8-2. Post-game show is coming your way next.
Well, we're coming up with Cardinal victory over the Giants. Cal Elder tonight just making his way down from the cornfields of Iowa to help us break this one down on Missouri Lottery. Yeah, the burnt cornfields. Breaking it down on Missouri Lottery Cardinals Live. Cal, this is exactly what you need when you're facing a team that's even with you in the standings in a lot of ways in the wild card.
The Giants found some offense out in Colorado, and we thought maybe they're going to bring that here, especially after the first hitter of the game homers and Angel Pagan. But Jake Westbrook and the bullpen had other plans. Certainly did.
And coming up, more from Cal on Missouri Lottery Cardinals Live from Lumiere Place. Plus, after kicking it old school and taking all three from the Brew Crew, the Redbirds welcome the first-place Giants to St. Louis for a huge four-game set. We'll break down Game 1. Plus, the Cardinals have had more success against Matt Cain than any other team. Why? We'll go inside the numbers, and we'll break down Jake Westbrook's night. Plus, Cardinal reaction, mic'd up. Sure, the Curiosity rover's taking some incredible pictures on Mars, but none of them are as exciting as Missouri Lottery Cardinals Live, and it's coming up next.
Welcome to Missouri Lottery Cardinals Live.
Carpenter delivers with a base hit out to left. One run is in. Here comes another. Carpenter delivers. Lines up at second base. The Cardinals get to Matt Cain here in the sixth.
Matt Carpenter, the pinch hit, two-run single, and the Cardinals are on their way to an 8-2 victory over the Giants in the opener of a four-game set against the champ, the leading team, I should say, out of the West. We are live at the Stadium Sports Bar and Grill, Lumiere Place, home of Missouri Lottery Cardinals live after every home game this week here on Fox Sports Midwest. Hello, everybody, and welcome officially to the post-game edition of Missouri Lottery Cardinals Live with a man who once gave up back-to-back home runs to Barry Bonds and Jeff Kent. He's Cal Eldred. I'm Pat Paris. Sorry to bring that up, but it is the Giants that the Cardinals are facing. It happens.
Yeah, Barry was pretty good then.
He was pretty good. So was Jeff Kent. Don't forget that. Well,
not that day anyhow.
That's a subject for another time. Coming up, we're going to break down the Cardinals' victory. Jake Westbrook getting the job done as the Cardinal bats wake up as well and produce a lot of runs, especially when there was still a lot of question whether Westbrook was going to get a no decision or a win. We'll take you back over to Busch for Mic'd Up with Mike Matheny and player reaction as well. Your thoughts about what a role this team is on right now?
Well, I'm thinking it from the pitcher's standpoint, Jake Westbrook, who gives up a home run right at the beginning of the ball game and thinks, oh man, this offense of the Giants has been hot. I've already got us behind, but then he settles down, gets all the way through, and then in the sixth inning, gives up a game-tying home run. But if you're going to get pinch hit for, you want to get pinch hit for as what Matt Carpenter did in driving in a couple runs.
Absolutely, you do. We want your involvement in tonight's program as well here on Cardinals Live. The tweet is on. Send us your questions and comments via Twitter to @FSMidwest. We'll take some of those during this evening's program as well. But right now, let's get back over to Busch Stadium. Moments ago, our Jim Hayes catching up with our Mid-America Chevrolet Dealers player of the game, and that's a very chummy John Jay. Jim?
John Jay, 4 for 4 in this one, couple RBIs and a run scored as well. Matt Cain is a very good pitcher. As John has his arm around me. You guys get to him for 5 runs. You had 3 hits against him. What's the approach against Cain? How do you have success against him?
I mean, he's a great pitcher. I mean, I just tried to keep it simple. See the ball, hit the ball, and we did a good job of putting some good at bats together, and that's the type of team we are when we're going good.
And you guys are going good. You got another great pitching effort by the starter, Jake Westbrook. The bullpen's been good. It's becoming standard operating procedure, isn't it?
Yeah, Westy set the tone out there, throwing strikes, working quick, and then, that's the type of ball games hopefully we can keep on playing.
11 games over 500, a season high. Do you feel like things are coming together? Mike Matheny before the game was talking about sensing an urgency. Do you sense it too?
Definitely. It's August already. We want our goal is to get to October baseball. So we know what it takes. We just got to keep on grinding every day.
Well, thanks for the interview and thanks for the arm around me.
Thank you.
All right, John Jay, send it back to you.
Hey now, watch the hair. We're going to get back over to Busch right now from the field. Let's go up to the broadcast booth. There's Dan McLaughlin and Al Rabosky, who just did a terrific job calling the game and witnessing all the greatness from John Jay and the entire lineup tonight, guys.
Thank you, Al. Arm around me as well.
You still want to feel left out.
Yeah, I don't now. A little uneasy, but I don't feel left out. Let's go back to the 6th inning, and this really was one of the plays of the game that we talked about, the hustle from a superstar, and that's Matt Holliday tagging up from second to third.
Well, Matt is out there at second base. A solid line drive to center field. It's going to be caught. Pagan challenges right here, and so did Holliday. A bang play. He's safe right there. That was a key point He comes around and scores on the sacrifice fly by David Freese, breaking the 2-2 tie, and the Cardinals added on.
And really, in many ways, this game overlooked the start by Jake Westbrook. Again, very solid tonight.
11th consecutive time he's gone at least 6 innings. He picks up his victory. That's 4 in a row for Jake. He's on a roll, just like the Cardinals are.
And you get the feeling in watching this team over the weekend. They had the sweep against Milwaukee. Again tonight, they fall behind. Second pitch of the game with the home run by Pagan. Doesn't matter. They come back. This offense has been very good, and as mentioned in the interview, it's now becoming standard to expect that the bullpen, especially middle relievers, doing the job.
And I thought it was really good to see that you didn't have to go to Boggs. You didn't have to go to Mott and Mujica. Then you had Salas and Fuentes get scoreless innings. That's what you need, because you're going to have to count on everybody down there, and you got to keep them sharp.
All right, should be a fun matchup tomorrow. You have Lance Lynn, who's an emerging star here in the National League. He's already won double digits as far as games are concerned, only 4 losses this year. Barry Zito, 500, former Cy Young Award winner. That's the matchup tomorrow at 6:30. We'll preview that later in the show. Guys, let's send it back over to you.
All right, looking forward to it, guys. My chum, Cal Elder, and I, we appreciate it. Just missed our rendition of Kumbaya. It was excellent over here.
It was good.
Yeah, keep it going. Thanks, guys. We'll see you later on. It's a lot of togetherness, and why not? This team is having fun right now.
They are having fun. You see the line going when the guys hit home runs. You see also the coaches who are excited. You saw earlier in some of the before the ball game and the pregame, you saw Mark McGuire and Beltran laughing it up behind the batting cage. They're having a lot of fun, but they're playing good baseball, and that leads to fun.
6th inning was some good baseball. You get Jake Westbrook to get out of that top of the 6th with just 1 run allowed. It's a tie ball game, bottom of the 6th. You get it going with your biggest bat.
Well, and Matt Holliday, a lot of sliders, which we'll talk about from Matt Cain later on, but Matt Holliday caught that one on the inside part of the plate, got his hands around and pulls it down the left field line. And then the sacrifice fly, not a scoring sacrifice fly, but this is a huge move, Pat, in the fact that Matt Holliday moves up a base.
Well, and you remember, it's a tie ball game, and you're really thinking, let's just get a run in. And how better to get a run in if you're not going to do anything with Beltran? You get the sac fly and heads up base running, and then the real sacrifice fly that drives him in.
Yeah, and you know, think about Matt Holliday's thought process there going to third. He knew he had to make it. And then what do the Cardinals do, Pat, when they usually get the lead? They start adding on, and you see singles and Yadier Molina at the beginning of it.
Certainly was. Then John Jay, and then Rafael Furcal draws a walk, checks his swing, barely, and then it's the big at-bat, the pinch hit at bat as Jake Westbrook comes out of the game. Matt Carpenter comes in, and how big has this guy been this year?
And that pitch isn't even a strike, but he knows if he goes away and that fastball's elevated and he takes the pitch the other way, it's just good, fundamental hitting baseball, and Matt Carpenter, give him a lot of credit. He's been doing that a lot.
4 for 4 now in his career against Matt Cain, and that knocked Cain out of the ball game. And certainly the Cardinals weren't done there as the offense adds on 3 more in the next and in the 8th inning. So 3 in the 7th, 3 in the 8th to break open a tie game and make it 8-2. It was a top of the lineup to the bottom of the lineup kind of night.
And you take Rafael Furcal and you take him from the top of the lineup, put him in the bottom. John Jay somewhere in the middle. John Jay with 4 hits tonight. Everybody's producing, like Pat said, but then you see the dugout and you see how much fun and excitement they're in the middle of, and you could just tell that these guys think there's a run. There's a big run in them.
Well, to the tune right now of 13 wins in the last 17 games,
Right.
and that's the kind of run you need in order to, to make it one of those playoff spots as we saw last year. Let's get back over to Busch Stadium. By the way, the Reds losing tonight, official now. Pirates did win. We'll show you more about that a little later on. We're going over to Busch right now. Mike Matheny stepping to the podium. Mic'd Up, brought to you by the Sheet Metal Workers Local 36.
Mike, would you say a solid outing from Jake tonight?
Yeah, Jake was good. You know, had the 1 inning with 2 leadoff hits and worked his way out of it, but did a nice job. And when he was down the zone, got his ground balls, and good things happen. But you never know when you start off a game like you did with the leadoff hitter, if he's going to be able to stay in there and find that sink. But he did a great job.
Lost in the final score, but the tag up by Holiday.
A great play, and Carlos getting him over, and you know, Matt's hustle made that play happen. You know, it was a close play, and it doesn't happen if he's not anticipating and giving it everything he's got.
How much does a play like that kind of fit into what you've seen recently, just as far as just kind of the tightening of the style of play, and then you see the relentless offense after this. I mean, it seems like this game in a lot of ways captures things you've been asking about for 4 weeks.
That's good. I think that's a fair statement. And we talked about the little things. The little things are getting runners over. You got a man on second, nobody out, getting them over, figuring out a way to get them in. And fortunately, we did both. And in these games, right then it was a tie game. So needed that in a big way. And a lot of times, you get into your 3, 4, 5 hitters, and they sometimes get a little big, potentially in a situation like that, instead of just trying to get the runner over in any way they can. And it was a great job on both parts.
How good is your lineup that no matter who hits seventh, you got a 300 hitter batting there, basically?
Yeah, that's pretty impressive. But and it was nice seeing Rafi put together pretty solid at bats, and I think he's feeling a little bit better, which is a positive for us. But John Jay coming up big, a couple opportunities in that 7-hole.
How long do you think that shoulder bothered him, even when he came back the second time?
A long time. I mean, I don't think he was ever completely right, but you're balancing that as a young player, realizing that you want to be on the field, and that you don't want to be sitting on the sidelines and watching your team do something. He was having a great start, and there's that fine line of pushing, of being kind of hurt, but truly being injured, and I think he was trying to push on something that he probably couldn't.
Also, testament to your offense when a guy like Matt Carpenter can't get more playing time, right?
Yeah, but he couldn't have had a bigger role than what he had tonight, and came up in a perfect situation for him to maximize what he brings to the table. And it was a great at-bat and a very timely RBI hit for us.
Is it just experience for him, the difference as a pinch hitter at the beginning of the year? I mean, he's like 6 or 7 pinch hits in a row now where he's been pretty clutch.
Well, I think he can just hit. I really do. I think there's a maturity process that goes along with being a pinch hitter as well, and I know John Mabry's been very valuable, having quite a bit of an experience with that, and Mark McGuire, those guys, really getting these guys prepared and with an approach. And it's certainly different than going in there as an everyday guy, getting your 4 at-bats. And we've seen some great at-bats from Skip and Matt both in those situations, and you have to give a lot of credit to the approach.
Send him up, take out Westbrook at that point, the chance to break open the inning.
Jake's still very low in his pitch count, but we had 1-run lead at that point, an opportunity to throw some more on there, and that was a situation that I knew that we had a good matchup with Carp and Kane at that point, and had a lot of confidence that he was going to be able to come through for us. But it's hard taking Jake out when he's throwing as well as he was.
You fouled off some 30 pitches against Kane tonight. Do you think that wore him out eventually?
Well, it took his count to 100 in a hurry. I mean, he's typically a pretty efficient pitcher. But, I think that's when you see in our team at its best, they're fouling off those borderline pitches, and they're really putting nice strokes, a nice pass on the ones that are in their zone. So it's a good sign.
I know they all count the same, but a win against a guy like Kane, is there a little something extra to get when you get a guy like that who's so good?
Well, I mean, their whole staff. I mean, you look at the next 3 we got. There's nobody to slack off on. I mean, they got a good starting staff, and we're missing Lincecum. So I mean, it's just another. You guys have heard it 1,000 times. I mean, just got to get ready for tomorrow now and enjoy this one for a few minutes and get ready for the next one.
You guys have struggled a little bit against teams with winning records. Is it time to turn the page on that too now? Prove you can play.
Yeah, only you guys know that, because maybe you guys are paying attention to that. Once again, we really try and focus on the things that we can control, and that's the game. And the stats are what the stats are. I mean, you can't deny that, but we don't spend too much time looking at it. All right, guys.
When we continue on Missouri Lottery Cardinals Live, don't tell the scouts around Major League Baseball, but you can't run on Carlos Beltran anymore. And also, he can still hit the long ball. We'll talk about his big night coming up next.
Missouri Lottery Cardinals Live is brought to you by Carrier. For all your heating and cooling needs, turn to the experts at CarrierComfortTeam.com. And by the Missouri Lottery. When you play, students win.
We are at the Stadium Sports Bar and Grill, Lumia. Place your home for Missouri Lottery Cardinals Live all week long here on Fox Sports Midwest. You know, you see this all the time, don't you? The guy makes a great defensive play in the top of the inning, and then he does something offensively in the bottom. Well, it happened again tonight for Carlos Beltran.
When you think these base runners would start to learn this, that Carlos Beltran has a good arm and he pays attention to the speed of the runner, and then he throws them out when they try to take the extra base, Pat.
Certainly does there, and I think Brandon Belt has learned his lesson, and maybe the Giants should have known that because he played for him at the end of last year.
He had their uniform on at the end of the last year, and they should have known he could do this too, Pat.
That's a nice piece of hitting, though. He crushes the curveball. 26th homer of the season. How about he's up to 78 RBIs, extending it a couple now over Matt Holliday for the National League lead.
Well, and Matt Cain wanted that breaking ball on the outside part of the plate, hoping he'd pull it on the ground, but when it comes back into that inside part of the plate, that sweet spot, that's what Carlos Beltran will do to it.
So he helps, well, he ties the game. How important was that home run to tie it up? And then the Cardinals would eventually win a 2-2 game and then go on to win an 8-2. The outfield assist for Carlos Beltran was only the 4th in his last 6 games. He's had quite a week in the outfield.
And the pitchers love that, Pat. I mean, you turn around, you can get a free out because a guy tries to stretch a single into a double. We're going to take a look back at Wednesday, and this is Jake Westbrook again. Carlos Beltran just going after the ball, making sure that he gets it, and then Tyler Green has a very good arm. This is all set up because Carlos Beltran goes to the wall, under control, makes a good throw to the cutoff man. Then the next beneficiary is Lance Lynn. Carlos knows this ball's smoked pretty good, so he just sees it and sets his feet and makes another strike throw to second base as the runner tries to take another base. He knew the speed of that runner, knew he was fast, but knew the ball was hit hard also.
And then Saturday, against the Brewers.
A little hopper over the top of the guy's, or first baseman's head, and as the runner goes, you know, as Carlos is going down to pick up this baseball, Pat, he's watching the runner. He sees what the runner's doing and knows that he can get this out. And this is the epitome. Watch his eyeballs right here. You're going to see Carlos look. He sees not only where he's going to throw the ball, but he sees that Brandon Belt is trying to stretch this into a double. Right there, you can see his eyeballs. He's looking to where he's going to throw, but also picking up the runner.
And you mentioned Jake Westbrook, and you pitchers really appreciating that. That's 2 times Jake Westbrook was helped out in the last week by the outfield play of Carlos Beltran. We're going to continue here on Missouri Lottery Cardinals Live, and when we do so, Cal's going to break down Jake Westbrook's night because, after all, he was good enough, more than good enough, for his 11th win of the season. Stay with us.